Hey, what's going on, guys? We are live from Mindset Monday. All right. And we're going to bring this to you, and it's all about having a mindset of doing your civic duty. All right. And I'm going to break this down for you guys in quickly as I can. The reality is this: we are in a situation today that nobody likes. If you're on the right, you're on the left. Most of us are just in the middle and want secure borders, safe places, a good economy, a great economy, and no outside wars and sending our money in other places, right? I think that almost everybody can agree to those basic things. And we're in a situation today because most of us have left everything else to chance. Most of us have said, you know what, I don't have to vote. I don't have to get involved in local politics either. And I definitely don't have to get involved in school boards and school boards meetings. Okay. And the reality is, because most of us have left that part of our duty or our responsibility to the side for so long, we are in a situation that we barely even recognize anymore. And this is just my take on it. You guys might have different takes, and that's fine. But the reality is that, okay? And whether you lean one side of the aisle or the other, it doesn't make a difference. You should be asking and going out and getting everybody you know to vote. Okay. That's a bare minimum. And let me tell you, like some of the things, like I have a ticket here. I got mailed a early voting ticket, and I think it's great. Why? Because then I can actually go and look up all the people, right? It's not always about voting on one side. Okay. You don't just fill in all one side because, listen, even if you're a Republican, there could be people on our ticket that are not good for us. Okay. And same thing on the left. All right. There's probably a lot of people that you don't want making any type of policies, right? Imagine if you go back in time and you realize what a disaster AOC was. Okay. I don't think you'd make that same vote. That's the truth, right? And I'm saying that as someone from New York. If you're in California, it was probably Kamala or Newsom, right? Because you have experience with these people. All right. So what I would suggest is look up where everybody stands on these issues. See how they voted in the past. Okay. I can't stress that enough. Like if you look up some of these acts and these guys are voting for them and they were these big spending bills, that's not good for anybody either. Right. And then also looking at it at the judge level. Okay. So when I got my ballot, the first thing I did, I went down the line. I'm like, all right, who do I know? What do they do? And listen, obviously at the top, you're going to know who's running for president. And then depending on how involved you are, you probably know who's running for Congress, okay, or the Senate. These are all things that you should know, but you can still research them. But most people don't know a thing about the judges, right? And no, but very few people know anything about the school boards. And guess what? That's going to impact your kids on a daily basis. So why wouldn't you want to know about the school boards? And this is what I mean when I say just get more involved. All right. I'll tell you what, I was very, very proud of my wife. My wife actually ran and was on the school board. All right. Now, we only did it to just check in, check the temperature, make sure everything was good. But she was on there for about a year. Okay. And she was on there just to make sure that they weren't poisoning our kids with stupid woke ideology. All right. So there are ways to get involved. There are ways to be active. All right. It's not just sharing stuff online. Actually do the research. And when you can chip in, chip in. When you can contribute, absolutely contribute. Dave, what's your thoughts on this? Sorry, that was very long winded.
No, that's okay, man. Like, dude, run with it, man. You're in on some great talking points with that. And to touch on some of those talking points, yeah, always start at the local level. It's your backyard. Like you understand everything that goes on in your backyard, and that actually has a bottom to top rise effect. Okay. Everything that starts locally pushes up to the federal level. Okay, so that this is why when people, I mean, look at it from this common sense standpoint. That's why when people change locations, they move. That's when congressional seats change. When you start getting more electoral votes in a state, why? Because that's what happens in your backyard. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. And guys, at the end of the day, look, if you still have your rights and vote, because some people don't for whatever reason, right? Shit happens in their life, criminally, whatever. But if you have your right and vote, you should go out and vote and exercise that right. I believe if you don't vote, you don't have a say. You know what I mean? If you have that ability, you can't sit there and bitch and complain about anything. Well, did you vote about it? Well, no. Well, then you should shut your mouth. Honestly, it doesn't matter what side of the aisle. And at the end of the day, we are in control. Doesn't matter who's in there. We are. What we do, what we say, what we dictate. The power of numbers, when you see some tomfoolery come out and push some things, when you start voicing and expressing it doesn't matter who's in there. We have the numbers. We're in charge. They work for us. And will always be.
No, they don't. They work for themselves. Okay. They work for themselves. But ideally, yes, they should work for us. Correct.
Optimistically, I see that changing or coming in the future. Whether people want to realize that or not, it could happen peacefully. It could happen violently. You know, and I'm not saying or spreading violence, but it's a possibility, right? Like when you start waking up and seeing these things, and I believe that it could happen. And it's just common sense, guys. We want to work to keep these guys out of our shit, bottom line. You know, we don't want them saying, dictating things that really, it's none of your business, man. Live and let live. But also at the same time, that live and let live is kind of what got us here. You know, not staying aware as to what's going on, not voicing, oh man, we've had it great for 20 years, 30 years. Yeah, let the next guy, you know, and that apathetic attitude, man, it's not going to get us anywhere. You need to stay aware. I love your mail-in ballot idea. That's great, you know, because at least you can see it in front of you. Most people aren't going to take the time, you know, not only a mail-in ballot. Oh, let me go online.
Dude, they're giving you the questions on the test beforehand. Why wouldn't I want to go research the answers?
Yeah,
I'm comfortable with, right? And instead of going there and guessing, you know why I know that, Dave? Because every fucking time I've ever gone to vote prior to this, prior to 2020, I always voted. Okay, but prior to this, I would just vote one side on the ticket. Well, guess what? That doesn't work.
Yeah.
Okay. And there were times, it's not like for some of the judges or some of the school boards, they tell you which side of the aisle they're on. So you could be voting for somebody that has a completely different set of beliefs than you, a completely different set of values than you. And as someone that has been there, done that, and made that mistake, that's an easy one to correct, guys. It takes 5 minutes to do that.
Yeah.
All right. And here's another thing I want you guys to be aware of, especially if you are leaning more on the right for this election. Let me tell you, I don't believe the polls one bit. Okay. Whether they're close or whether they're far, I don't believe them at all. Okay. And this whole early voting thing, my personal take on it, my very, very, very personal take, why everyone on one side is saying vote early and vote often. I don't know why, in terms of strategy, they would do that. Okay. It doesn't make any sense to me, because you're basically fronting or letting them know the numbers that they have to make up towards the end. Okay. So yeah, one side is leading everything early, but to me, that seems like I don't want to say false flag, but false pretense. Okay. Because then it might get some people to say, oh, we're up, I don't have to vote. All right. And let me tell you something. The mindset should be the exact opposite. Hey, I need my voice heard. Listen, if you're going to vote for somebody else, that's fine. I don't care. But go out and vote and get everyone that you know to go out and vote. Why? Because it's also going to shake out a lot of the bullshit and a lot of the fraud too. Because if every single person that is eligible to vote votes, it's a lot harder to mix in votes that aren't necessarily legitimate. Okay. And that's not calling anything into question. That's just stating facts, guys. If every single person that's eligible to vote votes, it's a lot harder for anyone to determine or dictate the election. And guys, check your ballots too. Like after you vote, make sure you voted for the right people, because I've been seeing stuff where votes are getting switched. All right. So this is the bare minimum we can do as Americans. All right. We don't have to fight. We don't have to argue. You know, you might have a difference of opinion on who you want to vote for. And hey, I respect your right to disagree with me. That's what this is about. Okay. But for the most part, I think if you don't see the writing on the wall already, the train's already going to be, the train's coming around the corner and it's going to fucking steamroll you. Okay. I mean that as positive and not non-threatening as I can. Okay. Like if you guys are not on this and you don't see what's going on, you're probably never going to see what's going on. Okay. Because more people are waking up to the BS every single day. And the more people that wake up, the more dangerous it is to be on the side of ignorance. Okay. It's not a good look. It's not a good place to be. And a lot of people are starting to wake up. So join that movement. It's not going to hurt you. It's actually very welcoming. All right. And yeah, that's my take on it. And go vote. Dave, you got anything to wrap up with?
Yeah, I mean, look, man, when you're out in the streets, I mean, cyberspace is one thing, right? Everybody's got a little wall up, but like when you're out in public, man, you know, it's shaking hands, hugging, what side of the aisle. You know, we're all cool at the end of the day. We're all Americans, you know, and I think at the end of the day, we want more of the same things than different things, you know. So let's get back to basics, man. Let's get this shit back on track. And you know, also to touch on the mail-in ballot, which is awesome. Like, guys, you can go to your county website and look this stuff up too. Hey, we ran into the same problem here with Dr. Oz and fucking Fetterbean. So you know what I mean? And you know, both terrible, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, guys, it's just do your homework, man, and do your civic duty. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I've never seen a vegetable run for office and get it, but between your state and our current missing president, 2 vegetables.
Yeah, and the other guy technically from Jersey, so I'm trying to figure that one out.
Yeah. Cool. Catch you later, guys.
Great, y'all.